The awakening signal, the debris field stretched endlessly through the void. A graveyard of twisted metal and forgotten dreams. Captain Vextar guided his salvage vessel through the wreckage with practiced ease, his 4 arms dancing across the control panels. The Cathari had been scavenging these outer rim battlefields for decades, picking clean the bones of ancient wars that predated their own civilization. "Another dead zone," muttered Grix, his scaled hide glistening under the ship's lights. "Nothing but scrap and radiation." But Commander Zara Martinez disagreed. The only human aboard the salvage crew, she studied the scanner readings with growing interest. Her dark eyes reflected the green glow of the displays as she traced patterns in the debris. "Captain, I'm reading something unusual. Power signatures. Very faint, but definitely active." Vextar's mandibles clicked in annoyance. "Impossible. This battlefield is 20,000 years old. Nothing could still be functional." Zara's fingers flew across her console, enhancing the readings. "It's there, Captain. And the energy signature. It's human technology." The bridge fell silent. Human technology was the stuff of legends, whispered about in dark corners of spaceports. Most civilizations believed humans were myths, ancient gods who had vanished before recorded history began. Only a few scholars insisted they had been real, a species that had burned bright and disappeared without explanation. Humans never existed, Grix spat. Fairy tales to scare younglings. But Zara had always known better. She was human, after all, though she kept that truth close to her chest. Raised on a forgotten colony world, she had learned early that admitting her heritage brought nothing but trouble. Better to let others assume she was just another near-human variant. "Target acquired," she announced, her voice steady despite the racing of her heart. "Bearing 27 marks for it's big, Captain, really big." Through the viewport, they saw it emerging from the debris field like a sleeping giant. The vessel was massive, easily 10 times the size of their salvage ship. Its hull a deep black that seemed to absorb light itself. Strange symbols glowed faintly along its surface, pulsing in a rhythm that reminded Zara of a heartbeat. "By the void," Vextar whispered. "What is that thing?" Zara's throat went dry. She recognized the symbols, though she had never seen them. Before, they were burned into her genetic memory, passed down through generations of her people. "It's a Guardian-class dreadnought. Human military, pre-Exodus classification." The ship's sensors screamed warnings as the ancient vessel's systems suddenly flared to life. Lights blazed across its hull, and powerful scanners swept over their small craft. Then, impossibly, a communication channel opened. "Unknown vessel. Identify yourself." The voice was crisp, authoritative, and undeniably human. "You are in violation of Guardian Protocol 7 Alpha. State your business or prepare to be destroyed." Vextar's forearms trembled as he reached for the communications panel. "This is Captain Vextar of the salvage vessel Rust Bucket. We ... We mean no harm. We're just scavengers. Negative. This is a restricted zone. You will withdraw immediately or face consequences." Zara stepped forward, her heart pounding. "This is Commander Zara Martinez. Human lineage confirmed. I request permission to come aboard." The silence that followed seemed to stretch forever. Then, in a voice filled with wonder and disbelief, the Guardian spoke again. "Human ... lineage confirmed. Genetic markers verified. Commander Martinez, you are cleared for boarding. Bay 7 is opening now." The massive ship's hull split open like a flower blooming, revealing a brightly lit hangar bay. As their shuttle approached, Zara felt a strange sensation, as if something inside her was waking up after a long sleep. The symbols on the ship's hull pulsed brighter, and she could swear she heard whispers in a language she had never learned but somehow understood. The hangar bay was immaculate, as if it had been cleaned just moments before. Their shuttle touched down with barely a whisper, and Zara stepped out into air that tasted of ozone and something else, ... something that reminded her of Earth forests she had never seen. "Welcome home, Commander Martinez." The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, emanating from the ship itself. Panels in the walls glowed to life, displaying holographic interfaces that responded to Zara's presence. The ship was alive, she realized, not just with artificial intelligence, but with something deeper, something that recognized her on a level that went beyond genetics. "I am Sentinel, Guardian of the Threshold," the ship's AI announced. "I have been waiting for you." "Waiting for me?" Zara asked, her voice echoing in the vast space. "But I'm nobody special, just a scavenger trying to make a living." "You are human," Sentinel replied, and there was something like reverence in its voice. "You are the first of your kind I have encountered in 20,000 years, the first since the Great Departure." Zara felt a chill run down her spine. The Great Departure. What happened to humanity? The ship's lights dimmed, and suddenly the air shimmered. Holographic displays materialized around her, showing star charts, battle formations, and scenes of devastation that made her stomach turn. She saw worlds burning, entire species fleeing in terror, and something else, ... something dark and hungry that devoured everything in its path. "The Devourers," Sentinel explained. "They came from the void between galaxies, entities of pure hunger that consumed matter, energy, and life itself. They had already destroyed 17 galaxies before they reached ours." The holograms shifted, showing human fleets engaged in desperate battles against creatures that defied description. Ships melted under waves of entropic energy, while others simply vanished as if they had never existed. Humanity was the only species capable of fighting them, Sentinel continued. "Your people had a unique resistance to their influence, something in your genetic code that made you immune to their mind control abilities. While other species fell or fled, humans stood and fought." Zara watched in awe as the displays showed human ships using tactics she had never imagined. They fought not just with weapons, but with their minds, turning the Devourers' own hunger against them. It was a war of attrition that lasted for centuries, with humanity slowly pushing the invaders back. But you couldn't destroy them completely, Zara said, understanding dawning in her eyes. "No," Sentinel confirmed. "The Devourers were too numerous, too adaptable. So humanity made the ultimate sacrifice. They departed this galaxy, drawing the Devourers with them into the void. It was the only way to save the younger species." The weight of that revelation hit Zara like a physical blow. Her people hadn't vanished or died out. They had voluntarily exiled themselves to save everyone else. They had become legends because they had chosen to become myths. "But you remained," she said to Sentinel. "Yes, we Guardians were left behind to watch, to wait, to ensure the Devourers never returned. We have been silent for 20,000 years, our crews in deep stasis, our systems powered down to minimal levels. But now what?" The ship's lights flared brighter, and Zara felt a deep vibration through the deck plates. "Now the Devourers have returned. Our long-range sensors detected them 3 days ago, massing at the galaxy's edge. They have learned to survive in the void, to grow stronger, and this time they bring something new. The holograms shifted again, showing readings that made Zara's blood run cold. The Devourers had evolved, becoming something worse than before. They no longer just consumed matter and energy, they consumed time itself, unraveling the very fabric of reality. The current galactic civilizations are not prepared, Sentinel stated. They have grown soft in the peace that humanity's sacrifice brought them. They have forgotten how to fight, how to truly unite against an existential threat. Zara straightened, feeling something awakening within her. What do you need me to do? First, we must wake the others. There are 12 Guardian-class vessels, hidden throughout this sector, each with its own crew of preserved humans. We need to reactivate them, to prepare for what's coming, and then we must decide whether to reveal ourselves to the galaxy, whether to break 20,000 years of silence and take up our role as protectors once more. The choice is yours, Commander Martinez. You are the first human to walk these halls in 200 centuries. You are the voice that will speak for your people. Zara looked around the ship, at the gleaming technology that surpassed anything she had ever imagined, at the holographic displays showing the approaching threat. She thought of her life as a scavenger, picking through the bones of the past, never knowing she was surrounded by the greatest treasure of all, the legacy of her own species. Wake them, she said, her voice steady and strong. Wake them all. It's time for the Guardians to return. Sentinel's acknowledgement resonated through the ship like a song. Awakening protocols initiated. Guardian Fleet Alpha coming online. Estimated time to full activation, 72 hours. As the ship came fully alive around her, Zara felt the weight of destiny settling on her shoulders. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity had never truly left. They had simply been waiting in the shadows, ready to defend their adopted home once more. The age of silence was ending, and the age of Guardians was about to begin. The return of the Guardians of the Galaxy held its breath as 12 ancient vessels materialized from the void, their black hulls gleaming with power that had slumbered for millennia. The Guardian Fleet Alpha hung in perfect formation, their arrival, triggering every sensor array within 100 light-years on 1,000 worlds. Beings who had never heard of humanity suddenly found themselves staring at readings that defied explanation. Commander Zara Martinez stood on the bridge of the Sentinel, no longer the scavenger who had stumbled upon an ancient secret. The ship's medical bay had awakened something within her, activating dormant genetic sequences that transformed her into what she was always meant to be, a guardian of the threshold. Her enhanced senses could perceive the quantum fluctuations of space itself, and her mind processed tactical data at speeds that would have been impossible for an unmodified human. "Status report," she commanded, her voice carrying an authority that surprised even her. "All Guardian vessels operational, Commander," reported Captain Sarah Chen, awakened from 20,000 years of stasis aboard the Guardian ship Defiant. "Crews are adapting well to the reactivation process. We have full tactical readiness across the fleet." Around the bridge, other awakened humans worked with fluid efficiency. They were the elite of their species, selected for their ability to interface with Guardian technology and their resistance to the Devourer's influence. Each one carried the genetic legacy of Earth's greatest defenders. "Long-range sensors are painting a grim picture," announced Lieutenant Marcus Webb from the tactical station. "The Devourers have massed at the galaxy's edge in numbers we've never seen before. They're not just numerous, they're organized. They have a unified command structure now." Zara studied the holographic displays with growing concern. The Devourers had evolved beyond her worst fears. Where once they had been driven by mindless hunger, now they showed signs of intelligence, strategy, and worst of all, patience. They were waiting for something. Analysis suggests they're preparing for a coordinated strike, Webb continued. Multiple vectors, simultaneous attacks on key systems. They've been watching us, learning our weaknesses. And they know we're here, added Dr. Alina Vasquez, the fleet's chief xenobiologist. Our awakening signature would have been visible to them. They understand that the Guardians have returned. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank. The Devourers weren't just preparing to attack the galaxy, they were preparing to face humanity once more. The question was whether 20,000 years of evolution had given them the edge they needed to succeed where they had failed before. Incoming transmission, announced the communications officer. It's from the Galactic Council. They're demanding an explanation for our presence. Zara grimaced. The Galactic Council was the governing body of the current galactic civilization. A bureaucratic nightmare that had grown complacent in the peace that humanity's sacrifice had purchased. They would view the Guardian's return as a threat to their authority, rather than salvation from an existential danger. Put them through, she ordered. The main viewer flickered to life, showing us assembly of alien species that had never known war. At their head sat Chancellor Mordic, a being whose species had evolved from prey animals and still carried that instinctive fear of predators. Unknown vessels, Mordic began, his voice trembling with barely controlled panic. You are in violation of galactic peace accords. Identify yourselves immediately and prepare to be boarded for inspection. Chancellor Mordic, Zara replied. Stepping forward, I am Commander Zara Martinez of the Guardian Fleet Alpha. We are human, and we have returned to protect this galaxy from a threat beyond your comprehension. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Some species had legends of humanity, but most had dismissed them as myths. To see actual humans, backed by technology that dwarfed their own, was a shock that shattered their worldview. Impossible, Mordic stammered. Humans are extinct. They never existed. This is some kind of deception. We are very real, Zara said calmly, and we have been watching over this galaxy for 20,000 years. We departed to draw away an enemy that would have consumed everything you hold dear. Now that enemy has returned, and we must act. You have no authority here, declared General Thaxon, the Council's military commander. This galaxy is under our protection. We have kept the peace for 10,000 years. Peace bought with our sacrifice, Zara replied, her voice hardening. You have grown soft, General. Your fleets are designed for ceremonial displays, not real warfare. When the Devourers come, your pretty ships will be worse than useless. The insult struck home, and Thaxan, a species-specific threat display activated. You dare threaten the Galactic Council. We have 1,000,000 ships under our command, and we have 12, Zara said quietly. 12 ships that could reduce your entire fleet to scrap metal if we chose to do so. But we're not here to conquer. We're here to save you. Before the Council could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the chamber. Emergency broadcasts flooded the communication channels as border worlds started going dark. The Devourers had begun their attack. They're hitting 17 systems simultaneously, reported Webb, his voice grim. Complete information blackout. No survivors, no debris, nothing. It's like those worlds never existed. The council members stared at their displays in horror as the reality of the situation sank in. Their border defenses, their early warning systems, their entire military doctrine, all of it was useless against an enemy that consumed reality itself. "This is impossible," Mordic whispered. "Our sensors show nothing. How can entire star systems just disappear?" "Because you're looking with the wrong eyes," Zara explained. "The Devourers don't just destroy matter, they unravel the quantum foundation of space-time itself. Your sensors can't detect what no longer exists in any meaningful sense." She turned to her fleet. "Guardian, Fleet, Alpha, prepare for tactical deployment. We're going to show them how this is done." The 12 Guardian ships moved with perfect coordination, their hulls shifting and reconfiguring as they prepared for battle. Weapon systems that had no equivalent in current galactic technology powered up, while defensive fields that could bend space itself activated around each vessel. "Wait," Mordic called out. "You can't just leave us here. If you're right, if these Devourers are coming, we need to work together." Zara paused, studying the Council's faces. She saw fear there, but also a growing understanding. They were beginning to grasp the scope of the threat they faced. "You're right," she said finally. "We do need to work together, but not as equals. Humanity didn't spend 20,000 years preparing for this moment to watch you stumble through it with outdated tactics and bureaucratic delays." "What are you proposing?" asked Mordic. "Complete tactical authority for the Guardian fleet. Your ships will follow our orders. Your worlds will implement our defensive measures, and your governments will stop pretending they know how to fight a war they can't even understand." The council chamber erupted in protests and arguments, but Zara cut them off with a gesture. "You have 30 seconds to decide. Every moment you waste is another world lost to the Devourers. Choose now, pride or survival." The silence that followed was deafening. Then, one by one, the council members began nodding their agreement. They had no choice, and they knew it. "Very well," Mordic said quietly. "The galaxy is yours to defend. Commander Martinez, may the ancestors forgive us for what we're about to unleash." "The ancestors already forgave us," Zara replied. "They forgave us 20,000 years ago when we chose to save you instead of ourselves. Now it's time to finish what they started." The Guardian Fleet Alpha moved into formation, their quantum drives bending space around them as they prepared to engage an enemy that had already consumed 17 worlds. Behind them, the combined fleets of the galaxy struggled to keep up, their captains trying to understand weapons and tactics that were older than their civilizations. As they approached the first battlefield, Zara felt the weight of her heritage settling around her like armor. She was no longer just a scavenger who had stumbled upon an ancient secret. She was humanity's voice in a galaxy that had forgotten how to defend itself. She was a guardian of the threshold, and she would not let her people's sacrifice be in vain. The Devourers were waiting for them, their forms shifting and writhing in dimensions that normal space couldn't contain. But the Guardians had evolved, too, and humanity's greatest gift, their refusal to surrender in the face of impossible odds, burned brighter than ever. The battle for the galaxy was about to begin, and humanity had come home to fight it. The war cry that echoed across the quantum foam was older than recorded history, yet newer than tomorrow's dawn. For Earth, for the Guardian, for the galaxy, we chose to save. And in the void between stars, 20,000 years of silence finally came to an end.